all you beautiful people out there. I am Mrs. Realistic. Welcome back to the channel. This was put out 2 weeks ago by Ren, and this is Eden. I'm excited to hear something new from him. I know he's been crazy busy lately, so I don't know how he manages to get this stuff put up like he does, but he's a machine. So if all of you out there like what I do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below, click the bell for notifications so that you will always know when another video comes out. Without further ado, let's get into this.
Let me tell you a story as old as time, the story of Adam and Eve. It starts with a God who wanted more. God had just created the heavens and the earth. He had the angels by his side, but they had no will of their own, and so the autonomy to love.
I love this animated video. This is reminiscent of The Legends of Zelda or something. All right, let's go back to the beginning because I was just concentrating on how cool that cartoon was.
Let me tell you a story as old as time, the story of Adam and Eve. It starts with a God who wanted more. God had just created the heavens and the earth. He had the angels by his side, but they had no will of their own, and so the autonomy to love or reject him was never theirs. All but for one, the once called bringer of light, Lucifer, morning star. Lucifer was the fairest and most intelligent of all the angels. He was the closest thing to God's image, and in his likeness, Lucifer felt restless. He began to question and doubt God. He doubted the hierarchy opposed upon him. He felt God was arrogant. In his frustration, Lucifer built a throne that stood even above God's and declared mutiny. A war ensued. God, being all-powerful, came out the victor and banished Lucifer from the heavens and exiled him to earth. Once again, God was alone with his power. Perhaps from loneliness, perhaps from curiosity, perhaps from a desire to share love, God began to work on his greatest project yet, a being that would mirror himself, the human, two humans specifically, Adam and Eve. They were placed inside a paradise built for them on earth, the Garden of Eden. In the garden, God placed a tree that bared fruit that would grant anyone who ate it powers bestowed only to a God to tell good from evil, left from right, to live righteously or to sin. He named this the Tree of Knowledge. God told Adam and Eve they could eat whatever they wanted in the garden, but never the fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. And if they disobeyed him, it would be punishable by death. The basic way the story of Eden is told is that Eve was tempted by Lucifer in the form of a serpent to eat a fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. Convinced, she bit the fruit, she passed it to Adam, and he did the same. Suddenly, ultimate knowledge filled their minds, and they realized they were naked and felt shame. God discovered this betrayal and felt anger. He exiled Adam and Eve and cursed them with the life of a mortal. They would work.
This is interesting because, you know, apparently this was supposed to be, you know, ultimate knowledge if you eat from this tree. And that's basically like an invitation of curiosity. I've heard numerous different variations on the story of, you know, if the snake was actually the devil. And then I've heard, oh, of course, leave it up to a woman to go and ruin everything. Hey, I can laugh at that. That's funny. It's a good joke. Hearing something like that, this is going to give you ultimate knowledge and the knowledge of a God. People would be like, oh, I want that knowledge. So it could have been that lust for power. What's the term? Curiosity killed the cat. So basically they were kind of living in the bliss of ignorance before. And now
he exiled Adam and Eve and cursed them with the life of a mortal. They would work, they would bear children, and they would die. The fate of a human. Now look deeper.
In the story, the serpent tempted me by telling me I would gain ultimate knowledge
Oh, see,
and
there you
that
go.
God would spare me.
Both were true.
This wasn't some great deception, meaning that Satan, in the likeliness of God, perhaps understood his intentions. In fact,
The only lie uttered in the
Garden of Eden was
by God, who did not end up
condemning
Adam and Eve to death.
death.
This could be seen as an act of
Mercy, but the sheer fact that the tree existed and that humans
were initially cut off from this knowledge.
may imply some part of God was afraid that if humans were granted the gift of perception, they, like Lucifer, would have the power to reject him too.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that there stood a beautiful tree that could
Grant this knowledge in the first place.
implies that a small part of
God, supposedly all-knowing,
perhaps wanted and intended
the humans to
bite too.
In the Bible, Satan was an exiled angel of free will. Humans are exiled
descendants of Adam and Eve.
also with free will. Not only have we shared a similar fate to the devil, we were also both constructed in
We
the
were
image of
also
our
both
Creator,
constructed in the image of our Creator.
meaning our behaviors, in some shape or form, imperfectly echo His.
We could assume that this kind of
God has his doubts, but as the most
powerful being,
Being in the universe
he has no one above him
to turn to with questions, and no one to
Doubt but himself, an incredibly lonely and isolating existence.
We must only assume that the common thread between God, Lucifer, and us is the desire for more, an eternal curiosity, a desire perhaps birthed from a seed of loneliness. If not, why would we exist in the first place? The constantly looping bittersweet irony is whether gifted by some omnipotent God or simply a byproduct of billions of years of evolution, here we stand in 2023 as creatures with free will, the only creatures that understand and define good from bad, creatures with the potential of a God. And what do we do with that free will, my friend?
Unlike in the animal kingdom where it's literally just survival. So yes, they kill other animals, but it's literally just for them to survive. What we in our society do is we kill other people for power. We ruin parts of our earth for power. And it all revolves once again around greed, money, and power over other people.
Potential of a God. And what do we do with that free will, my friends? We willingly walk to the edge of a cliff. In the name of progress, we jump off the precipice. The empires we build ravage the earth. The natural order of things are necessary to survive. Any systems which do not honor homeostasis eventually perish. Our free will overrides our own biological instinct. We can take more than we eat. We can kill more than we need. We can willingly create weapons with the potential to burn everything we've built to the ground. We willingly decide to bow at the altar of greed, the most
There you go.
insidious and destructive of all sins.
Yeah.
We put our faith in corporations who pose as rulers. We willingly allow ourselves to be led by outdated power systems ran by corrupted politicians
and bloated dictators who claim domain and dominion over an open and free land.
We willingly elect the corrupted when the decision was always ours to build something better. We willingly create and impose separation because of beliefs that we are force-fed through our phones and television sets. We always had the will to reject these things, but we adhere to them as though they were the laws of physics. War.
Ain't that the truth? We elect these people into power and then complain about the things that happen. But we as people feel powerless to do anything other than just vote. And sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. Sometimes it's the most evil. And in some places, they don't even get to elect anybody. It's just a dictator. So like he talked about homeostasis, that doesn't even exist anymore. It's all about corrupt leaders doing what's best for them and not what is best for the society as a whole, the world as a whole. War doesn't do anybody any good. Even the people who survive are left with PTSD, ruined bodies, ruined minds. The military-industrial complex is a business, and their business is making money off of death. People who, like Ren, have been misdiagnosed for 10 years by a medical system that is supposed to be there to heal you, but it really doesn't, and doctors get paid exorbitant amounts. It's probably a lot less in countries that have socialized healthcare, but doctors still make a ton of money nonetheless. Many of them are bought and paid for. Big pharmaceutical companies. I mean, the list is endless, and it all, like he said, centers around greed, not the good of the people.
These things, but we adhere to them as though they were the laws of physics. War, famine, pestilence, greed, these aren't things imposed upon us by an all-powerful God or by his demonic adversary. They are here because of us, not because of free will, but because of our inability to use it. We must be motivated to be better, not out of fear of punishment of an eternal damnation, but because the choice exists, because
Amen.
we love ourselves, because we have the power to absolve ourselves of so much unnecessary suffering. Take a second to be in this very moment. In this moment, how much suffering is happening all over the planet right now? How many
Too much.
people are dying of illnesses that could have easily been cured, but aren't because of the selfishness and greediness of humanity? How many people break their backs and reject their own passions to simply afford bills and food? How many of us crave distraction from existence? How many of us numb that pain in whatever way necessary? How many children are being abused? How many people sleep cold and hungry on the streets? How many of us become cogs inside a machine that is destroying itself? How many soldiers have been forced to fight in meaningless wars? How many humans have killed for ideals they don't believe in or understand? How many people have died for the greed of another man?
Yep.
And how much of this was avoidable? As written in the Bible, Satan was not condemned to hell. Satan was condemned to earth. He lives there amongst other creatures with free will, who always had the choice and still chose their own undoing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our self-made hell. The bittersweet irony is this is a creation of our own design. I'll leave you with this. Consider what you have done here today. You have worked together as individuals collaborating to form a giant neural network, a hive mind capable of achieving incredible things. We have lent on each other's strengths to solve puzzles and decipher riddles, and we've done so to win money. Imagine applying that same spirit and determination to creating the closest thing we have to paradise here on Earth. By using the power of collaboration, we can work together to even the playing field for everybody. Our dystopias can become utopias. Our Jahannams can become Jannah. Our hells can become heaven, right here on Earth. And this sentiment applies to atheists, agnostics, and believers alike. Myself, I'm an agnostic who believes. I believe in us. We must do better because we can choose to. We must be better simply because the option exists. Thank you.
I think that's better than any sermon I could ever hear in a church. I think whether you're a believer or not, this can hold true in the Christian religion. This can hold true if you're a Buddhist. This can hold true if you're an atheist. We should simply do better because the option exists. If we have free will, why do we not choose better? Echoing what he said, it's because people just want to numb their day-to-day by scrolling through their phone, by comparing their lives to other people, which in turn makes you feel worse about yourself because you don't have what the Joneses have. This is the problem, is that it's just a vicious circle of constantly needing more. And so when that greed and that need for more is the only thing that you think about, and especially for the people up here, they aren't thinking about the next generation. They're just thinking about what serves them now. And so it doesn't matter for the future generations. It doesn't matter for the future of our society because they got to live in the lap of luxury now. And while we should live in the now and we should enjoy the now, we also need to realize that what we do affects other people and affects our entire society as a whole. None of us are perfect, but I think the main message here is that there has to be a better way than what we're doing now. But I don't know that with everything that's put into place now, if it's able to be dismantled. This was so different, it was not musical, it was just basically a spoken word, but a message I think that more people need to hear. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think technology is ruining everything. There are, pros and cons, but the more years that go by, the more I see the cons. I see children lost to social media. I see disinterest in the activities that were just a part of my life growing up. These younger generations, it's like you have to force them to get out there and just act like a kid now. There's so much technology that becomes of a higher interest. Living is not just sitting on your phone all day. So I don't know how we get there, Ren, but voices like yours are so refreshing and much needed. And I don't think that we'll ever see anybody like you in our time again. So thank you for this wonderful message. That said, I think I'm going to go outside and enjoy the day. I hope all of you are also having a wonderful day. And as I always say, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.